After my last video, I received a number of questions from both current and future school psychologists. Now, some were general questions about the field and some questions were a bit more specific. But I received one question I thought could help other school psychologists and possibly other educators and related service providers. Now, to be fair, I think this can help a lot of people in just about any profession, even those outside of education. Now, the individual asking the question will remain anonymous, and I did get their consent to turn their question into a video. So thank you. You know who you are. All right, so let's get down to business and let's get to the question. This is my first year as a school psychologist. I'm assigned to 4 schools and I'm exhausted. Look, I'm not going to stop too often, but I see why you're exhausted. 4 schools is a lot for a first-year school psychologist. Let's be very clear about that. Let's keep going. This year, I'm on track to complete 90 evaluations, and most of my time is spent assessing students, report writing, filling out paperwork, and attending meetings. Almost every morning, I can barely get to my office, take off my coat, and set my bags down without someone stopping me and asking me for an update on a student. Can I please get to my office and get settled in first? And it doesn't get much better throughout the day, whether I'm walking to the bathroom, making copies of my reports for a meeting, or pulling a kiddo to test. School faculty also invite me to after-school events and gatherings. I'm grateful to receive an invite, but I'm an introvert and I need that time after work to recharge. I've always had a hard time saying no, and these gatherings and events are usually spent talking about work. That's true, at least in my experience. A lot of times when I have attended after-school events or events outside of work, people want to talk about work. I don't. When I leave work, I want to leave work at work, if you know what I'm saying. Let's keep going. I'm feeling guilty because I know they want my help, especially since this particular school didn't have a consistent psychologist for the last 2 years. And even though I need time to myself to recharge or take a break during and after the workday, I don't want to upset them. And I feel bad declining their invitation. I spoke to my internship supervisor, who's very outgoing and extroverted, and she didn't seem to understand why I'm conflicted and I don't feel comfortable having this conversation with my supervisor. Do you have any advice or recommendations? I'm struggling to find time to recharge and I'm starting to feel its effects. Also, great channel and keep up the great work. Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, let's start from the top. I don't know much about your experiences as an intern or if you're working in the school district you interned in, but I will say this, being assigned 4 schools as a first-year school psych is very difficult. It is not easy, especially when the majority of your time is spent doing assessments, attending meetings, report writing, and completing paperwork. Unless, of course, that's how you choose to define your role and function as a school psychologist. If that's what you prefer, fine. But this sounds very similar to my first year as a school psychologist. So I know about the stress, the pressure, and the responsibility you might be feeling right now. And I know enough about it to know it sucks. Every one of those 4 schools that you have, they're jockeying for position to get your time and attention so you can provide those students with your services and keep them, the school, out of due process. Now, it's not uncommon to feel like you're spread thin and trying to keep 4 very needy significant others happy all at the same time. So I want to talk about some things a lot of new and current school psychologists struggle with, and that's boundaries and balance. You painted a picture of what your mornings look like when you first arrive, right? You walk from your car or other preferred method of transportation, I don't know, you might ride a bike to work, to the school building, and you try walking from the school entrance to your office, but you constantly get stopped and asked about students before getting settled in, right? Now I want you to look at me.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure.
Okay, I want you to look at me, and I want anybody else who struggles with this to look at me. You should have the opportunity to walk into your building and get settled in before the start of a very busy, unpredictable, and sometimes, often, emotionally draining workday, especially as an introvert. Fortunately, this is something you can control and it's very doable, but it will take some time and you have to set some boundaries. Look, this is a difficult career and you work hard. So remember that you deserve some time to take your coat off, set your 100 pounds of assessment kits down, take a sip of coffee, look at your schedule, and get your bearings when you first arrive in the morning, assuming there isn't a crisis that's going on, because if there is, we all know it's showtime the moment you arrive on the premises. Also, it is okay to tell teachers, administrators, and other educators you'll try circling back to them later in the day after you get settled in. Maybe you want to designate 30 minutes or an hour of the day for consultation and stick to it. Maybe you want the flexibility of deciding who you consult with and who you don't on the fly. But whatever you decide to do, just remember you have more control over your time than you think, and you deserve some time to yourself throughout the day. So take it and don't feel guilty, because others will not hesitate to take it from you when given the opportunity. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean they're doing it on purpose. I mean, you brought up an excellent point. You're serving a school, and possibly multiple schools, with educators who didn't have consistent access to a school psychologist for the previous 2 years. So you're probably a sight for sore eyes, and I would not be surprised if these schools are behind on referrals, reevaluations, and a whole host of other things. They're looking to you for advice and leadership. So while most of the educators in your school probably mean well, you still have to protect your personal space and your time. So don't hesitate to create boundaries and stick to them. And sometimes creating boundaries includes getting very well acquainted with the word no. Listen, you can't and won't make everybody happy. It's impossible. But you know who you should strive to make happy in addition to the community you serve? You. Which brings me to my next point. There is no shame in putting your needs first, especially outside of work hours. That's your personal time to recharge and focus on you. Take it, because you matter. Yes, of course, you're a school psychologist, but that's only a piece of the puzzle that is you. So feed and nurture other areas of your life. You deserve a happy and fulfilling life outside of work. So make it happen. Balance is critical. YouTube family, I want to give a major shout out to the person who asked today's question. Thank you for your submission. It was a great question for new and even some veteran school psychologists and other professionals who struggle with establishing boundaries, finding balance in their lives, and even guilt. Look, man, to my fellow school psychs and colleagues, try not to let this profession or any profession burn you out, because there will always be academic and behavioral concerns. There's always a student to work with and evaluate. There's always a concerned parent or educator, and our job is never quite done. So take your breaks throughout the day, establish boundaries, and don't neglect yourself to appease your colleagues. And please try your best to leave work at work. In the meantime, let me know if you liked today's video by leaving a like and a comment, because I want to know what's on your mind. Hey, maybe you have a question you want me to answer. If so, I can be reached on Facebook or IG at RillSheed and via email at RillSheed@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and remember to take care of yourselves and one another. Peace.